Hey guys, what's up? Want to do a video for you on some stuff I was thinking about. Message I think a lot of you would get some value out of. So if I gave you $100, and then I asked you to give me 1 pound of gold, would you do it? If I asked you to give me a pound of gold, and I'll give you $100 for it, would that be a fair deal? Would that be a rational transaction? Would that be a smart deal on your end? And obviously, when you let that sink in, you're gonna be like, well, no. Obviously, the pound of gold is worth a lot more than $100. You know, anyone that has a brain can come to that conclusion, right? So I want to impart a concept on you that I'm sure you've probably never heard before. In the same way that it wouldn't be a smart and fair deal for you to give me a pound of gold in exchange for $100, because the gold is more valuable than the $100. In that same way, what is more valuable? Time or money? Time or money? I want you to think about that. Because most people, will work a job and they'll trade hours for dollars. Right? That's what we've been taught. That's what we've been programmed to do. That's the norm. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, you go to school and you get a career. You work Monday through Friday. You're trading your time, the gold, for the $100 bill. And it's interesting that if I give you that example, you can clearly understand which one is more valuable. But in something that we do day in, day out, week after week, month after month, year after year, our whole entire lives, something we don't even question once, that we are then somehow perfectly okay, don't see the issue with spending time, which is more valuable than money, in exchange for dollars. So we value the dollar more than the hour. And I hope that clicks to you. Just that little bit clicks. Because I think there's a big message there. And why do I bring that up? Because if you're not aware of these things, you will make the wrong decisions day after day, year after year, because you're fundamentally believing something that doesn't serve you. So when you're taught one way for so long and you're seeing everyone else do the same thing, it becomes a norm. But at some level, you have to question the norm, because the norm affects you, affects everyone, affects you individually, and it controls everything. I want to bring something else up. Most people, they'll say, when you ask them, what would you do if you had all the money in the world and that sort of thing. And even people that you wouldn't ask that, they would say, they want to travel. There's tons of people that love to travel or would like to travel. They've never done it before. And typically, just to continue with my point, you'll either not have the money for it, you either don't have the time for it, or you don't have both, right? You might be in a situation, say you work part-time, and you have more time, but you don't have the money. Let's say you work full-time, and you might make more money than if you work part-time, but you may not have enough money or sufficient money to go traveling, right? The issue is that you're always working for one thing and losing the other. So you might have the time to go travel, but you might not have the money. Or you might have the money if you make decent money, but you might not have the time. So in most cases, let's say you work a regular job, you have 2 vacation work weeks per year. And that's not 14 days as in 2 weeks. That's 2 working business weeks, right? 10 business days. That's 10 business days out of an entire year that you're allowed to take off. What if you had, I don't know, $10,000 saved up and you want to go on a vacation for 2 weeks to Europe? Now, even though you have the money for it, and now you have the career that everyone said is what you're supposed to do, now you don't even have the time. And you're not ever going to have the time. I want you to think about that. So now you're making the money, you supposedly check that off, and you're still stuck. You're still trapped. You're still not in control. You're still being governed by something else that's you're not in control of. And it doesn't matter what job you get, it's going to be the same thing 99% of the time, unless you have a very specific job that involves traveling within itself. So I hope within those couple minutes of this video that something has clicked for you, that I've told you something you've never heard, that you've thought of something that's never crossed your mind before. So the point of the video is to get you to continue to think about the value of your time. Don't trade, or don't always trade your gold for $100 bill, because the reality is that you can get money back. You can figure out ways to make more money with less work and less time. That is possible. That is called having a business, called outsourcing. That's what that is. But you will absolutely never get any second of your day back, of any day, any year, any week. Nothing. You will never get it back. The time that you're spending watching this video, you're never going to get it back. So I'm hopefully, giving you value here that's worth you watching the video. That's the whole goal, right? That's the whole premise. I don't want to waste your time. I want to give you something valuable, because I too am spending my time making this video, right? And so I hope that things are clicking for you a little bit. We're taught that you spend your time in exchange for money. But I want to explain a different concept to you as well. What if you eventually trade in your money for time? That's probably a concept no one has ever really mentioned. I've never had it said that way to me before. And this is super important, because if you don't think about this stuff, you're going to trade in your most valuable asset that you will never get back for something that is not equal to what you're spending. And I say this because what I believe everyone's goal should be in life is to eventually be able to step away from that process, that programming, that system where you're constantly chasing money. Because the problem with that is, if you don't have it, you're chasing it. And even when you do have it, you're chasing it. And in both scenarios, you're missing out on the most valuable asset you have, which is time. At no point is time being protected. At some point, you should then say, how do I stop spending so much time doing X, Y, and Z and spend more time protecting my time or doing things that are more valuable, right? Because what ends up happening is you'll spend five whole days out of your 7 days in a week. 5, if you include the amount of time that you're at work, the amount of time you spend commuting to and from work, and the amount of time that you spend getting ready and prepared for work every single morning. You take that, you get home and you try to do something, get a couple things done, and then prepare for the next day to do it all over again. And what ends up happening is that 5 entire days out of your 7 days become completely devoted to literally one thing, which is generating the dollar bill. And then those 2 days that you have left out every week are then you try to fit in some type of a lifestyle Try to relax. Try not to think about money and all the things that you haven't gotten done during the week because you've been spending all that time chasing the dollar bill. So then at the end of the day, when you die, you would have spent the very large majority of your life chasing one thing and one thing only. Even if you have the thing, even if you have money, after all these years, you've saved money, you've invested or whatever, you have the money, and you're still spending your asset, your greatest asset, on the same thing, which is that dollar bill. At what point do you stop chasing the dollar bill and start spending your time wisely? Start protecting your time. Start spending your time on what you want to actually do with your life. At what point do we sign up for, I want to do this 9-to-5 thing, or I want to give all of my time away to some company? That was probably not the choice that you decided. You might have had a career choice, but not a lifestyle choice, right? Because that's going to affect you forever. And I'm not saying there's a problem with working. There's people that obviously have careers and they enjoy what they do, and I'm not talking about that. But at some point, even that is a sacrifice, even if you do what you love. So I hope that's something that clicks to you, right? When do you take control of your time? When do you stop selling your time to get dollar bills, right? Because we typically use this money to then, buy pointless things that give us temporary and meaningless fulfillment and pleasure, to then go back to basically trade our hours for dollars again and do it all over again. Trading in your gold should be temporary, and there should be a plan to keep it or make it temporary. There should be a plan for that. I don't believe that most people plan for that because they've never thought about it. And I think that's a huge issue. And I believe that when you die, you're going to regret all the things you didn't do. And you're mostly not going to have done them because you've prescribed to the idea that you didn't have the time to do it. You didn't have the time to do it. Even if you had the money, you didn't have the time. Or if you had the time, you didn't have the money. So as an individual, as your own person, analyze what you're doing and ask yourself if this is what's going to bring you what you want in life. Is this the end all, right? Because if this is what you're spending the majority of your life on, it better be worth it. It better be justified, essentially, right? So that's the point of the video. Try to plan for something that allows you to eventually buy back your time, right? Because what do millionaires do? They're probably not stuck trading their hours for dollars. They're enjoying their lifestyle. There has to be a point where money is enough and you can step away, then you can enjoy your life. If you don't ever think about what you're doing, you will, instead of enjoying your life, you're going to spend it in the same thing that you've always done because you have been programmed to believe that that's the way to do it. You have been programmed to be a producer for someone else, but not yourself, right? And that's dangerous. You have to produce for yourself. You have to produce for yourself so that you can get out of life what you want. Because the reason why you have a job is so that you can produce for someone else that does know what they want out of life. I've heard it put this way a long time ago, that people that know what they're doing and know what to do typically work for the people that know why. You work at a place and you work for people that know why they want you there. But you are there to do the technical stuff, to actually carry out the work. So at the level you're at, integrate some of that higher level thinking, which is, why am I doing this? You ask the questions why. And what am I going to get out of this? Right? Because the moment who you work for, the moment they don't know why you work for them and what they're getting out of you, you're gone. So at the level you're at, think about that. Make sure that what you're working on makes sense and that you have a plan to eventually buy your time back. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have time, you really don't have anything. You don't have anything. Everyone wants more time with their children. Everyone wants to travel. Everyone wants to have more time with their hobbies and stuff. And those are literally the things, the most important things to us. We put that off and continue going to chase a dollar bill that has less value. So you spend your entire life chasing things with less value. How does that make any sense? It's fine if it's temporary, or it's fine if you absolutely enjoy what you do, and that's what you would do with your time, even if you had all the money in the world. But that's not the case for most people. So the point of the video is just so you can be a little bit more aware, to bring up some concepts you might have not had introduced to you, so you can have more control over your life and what you do and know why you do it. Because that's the key. That's the key. So I hope you got something out of that, and I will see you in the next video.